Imagine waking up at exactly 2:1 Gina a.m. You aren't startled awake by an alarm. You aren't nudged by your partner sleeping soundly next to you.
Right, it's much more subtle than that.
Exactly. Instead, you're pulled from sleep by just a single, barely perceptible sound. It's a floorboard settling out in the hallway under the weight of someone or something that is deliberately trying not to be heard.
I mean, it is the ultimate violation of the one space we consider completely ours, our home.
Yeah, absolutely. And welcome to today's deep dive, by the way. We're glad you're here with us. Because according to the highly classified files we're opening today, that specific sound isn't just a creepy house noise.
No, not at all. It is the execution of a really highly structured protocol.
Right. So we have our hands on a document from Peak's Shadow Presence, and it's known as the Silver Basin Transcripts. And for you listening, I want to be clear. We aren't just here to recount a spooky ghost story.
Right, this is about data. It's an analysis.
Yeah, the mission of this deep dive is to look at what investigators call the 2.17 phenomenon. When I read through this, what really stuck with me wasn't even the supernatural stuff. It was the sheer ruthless efficiency of it. We are looking at a clinical, systematic breakdown of domestic safety.
Well, the clinical nature of the file is exactly what makes it so unnerving. Investigators aren't describing a chaotic haunting. They're mapping out an inescapable methodology.
Yeah.
And today we're focusing on their primary case study, a man named Thomas. By looking at his experience, we're going to explore the precise sequence of psychological and, physical triggers that completely unravel a person's reality.
Okay, let's unpack this, because the timeline for Thomas begins on the night of October 3rd. And the context here is super crucial for understanding the psychological state that this phenomenon targets.
Right, the sleep deprivation.
Exactly. Thomas hasn't slept properly in weeks. The file notes he's suffering from severe sleep deprivation. His nerves are just completely frayed.
So his sensory processing is already compromised.
Yeah, he's vulnerable. And then, at exactly 2:17 a.m., that floorboard creaks.
The investigators actually have a really specific official classification for this initial auditory trigger. We call it the whisper before the dread.
Which is a terrifying name, honestly.
It really is. But we need to look at the mechanics of this because it's not random. In the framework of this 2.17 protocol, the whisper is the definitive signal that the victim has been selected.
It's an engineered harbinger.
Exactly.
And the data backing that up is genuinely staggering. Looking at the Silver Basin cases broadly, out of the 11 recorded incidents, this specific floorboard creak, the whisper before the dread, occurs at exactly 2:17 a.m. in 9 of them.
9 out of 11.
Yeah, never 2.16, never 2.18. It's just this machine-like precision.
And the investigators openly admit in the transcripts that they have zero explanation for the precise timing.
Really? Nothing.
Nothing. There's no celestial event, no geographic correlation, literally nothing to explain why 2.17 a.m. is the activation point. But functionally, we know exactly what it does.
Right. I was trying to rationalize the mechanism behind this, actually. I sort of compared it to, that subtle drop in barometric pressure before a massive storm.
Oh, yeah, the weather shift.
Right. It's this tiny shift in the environment that signals a transition from safety to profound danger. Because at first, I thought maybe it operates like a psychological priming tool. You hear a sound, your adrenaline spikes, and suddenly your brain starts painting monsters in the shadows because you're so exhausted.
Which makes sense on paper.
Yeah, it feels like the phenomenon is just softening up the target.
Well, it goes deeper than just softening the target, honestly. It forces active engagement.
What do you mean?
I mean, a random bump in the night can just be ignored. You roll over and go back to sleep.
Yeah.
But a deliberate, slow creak of a floorboard underweight demands investigation, especially when you're a homeowner and, a parent.
Oh, right. You have to check it out.
Exactly. The phenomenon uses the victim's own protective instincts against them. The entire goal of that whisper is to draw the victim out of the safety of their bed.
Which is exactly what Thomas does. He rationalizes it, right? Yeah. He tells himself, oh, it's just the house settling, but then the sound happens again. Deliberate, slow.
So he has to get up.
Yeah, so Thomas steps out of bed. He's in his bare feet on the cold floor. He walks toward his bedroom door, grabs the handle, and the transcripts note a very specific physical detail here. The handle is unnaturally cold.
Yeah, this is our first indication of localized environmental manipulation.
Localized manipulation.
Right, from a thermodynamic perspective, profound, sudden drops in temperature often suggest an energy draw. The phenomenon is literally pulling energy from the environment to manifest the next phase.
Wow. So Thomas opens the door, right? And he looks out into the dark hallway. And down at the far end, near his son Daniel's room, there is a figure.
Just standing there.
Just standing there. And Thomas sees Daniel. It's his height, his hair, his pajamas. But something is profoundly wrong. The figure isn't moving. It isn't breathing. It's not even blinking. It is simply standing in the darkness, watching him.
What's fascinating here is the clinical term the file uses for this. They call it the emotionless double.
The emotionless double.
Right. And its function in the protocol is terrifyingly specific.
See, I really need to ask a question about the methodology here because I'm trying to understand the logic.
Sure.
If this entity wants to terrify the victim, why mimic the sun? Why not manifest as something overtly monstrous? Like, my first thought reading this was that it's a predatory lure. Is it just using Daniel as bait to get Thomas to drop his guard and rush down the hall?
A physical trap is a really logical assumption, but the data from the transcripts points to a psychological objective. It isn't trying to trigger a simple fight or flight response.
Okay, then what is it doing?
It's trying to trigger a reality collapse response. Think about the concept of the uncanny valley, right?
Oh, yeah, where things look almost human, but not quite.
Exactly. Our human brains are hardwired to recognize tiny microexpressions. The rise and fall of a chest, the subtle twitch of an eye. So when you present the brain with something that is a 99% perfect replica of a loved one, but subtract all the micro movements of life, the brain doesn't just feel fear.
It panics.
It experiences profound cognitive dissonance. It completely short-circuits. It's a tactic to destabilize trust by placing a loved one in two places at once.
Oh, man. So it's a direct attack on his foundational logic.
Precisely.
Because what happens next is just, well, Thomas is standing in the doorway, and he whispers his son's name. The figure does absolutely nothing. So Thomas takes one step forward into the hallway, then another, and then comes the twist that completely shatters his reality.
His voice.
Yes. From behind him. Back inside the bedroom he just left, he hears a voice. It's real, it's sleepy and confused. It's his real son Daniel asking, "Dad, what are you doing?"
Which is just a horrifying moment.
Thomas spins around, and his actual son is standing right there behind him, rubbing sleep from his eyes. And when Thomas whips his head back toward the hallway,
It's empty.
it is completely empty. The figure is just gone.
Right, because the protocol pushes that impossibility to its breaking point. It forces the victim to observe a paradox. According to the recovered files, this signals that the house has, and this is their term, absorbed a new entity.
Absorb, that's such a heavy word. Because it implies a synthesis, right? The entity isn't just visiting the house, it has merged with it.
Yes. The presence of the double is a specific indicator of that absorption, and they bring up a case file note regarding Flat 601 to support this.
Oh, the mother and daughter case.
Exactly. In that instance, a mother saw her daughter sitting at the kitchen table, but moments later, she found her real daughter locked in her bedroom from the inside.
Fast asleep.
Fast asleep. And the figure at the table just vanished. It's the exact same methodology. Place the double, break the reality, signal the absorption.
So surviving that night is really only the beginning of the protocol.
Oh, it's just phase one.
Because if the house has successfully absorbed this entity, the next logical question is, where does that entity reside during the day? Like when the sun comes up, where does it go?
And that question brings us right into the next phase, which happens the very next morning.
Right, so the timeline moves to October 4th. Thomas goes down into his basement in the daylight, and he notices that a heavy built-in cupboard has been physically moved.
Just pushed aside.
Yeah. And behind where that cupboard rested, there is a door that absolutely does not exist on the house's blueprints.
The architecture itself has been altered.
And the atmosphere described in the source is just, it's suffocating. Thomas pushes the door open, and he's immediately hit by this wall of heavy air. The transcript says it smells like it's been trapped for decades.
Unbelievably stagnant.
Yeah. And inside are just old toys and a rusted bicycle.
So synthesizing this discovery with the broader phenomenon, investigators call these architectural anomalies forgotten spaces.
Forgotten spaces.
Yeah. And they appear in 7 of the 11 Silver Basin cases. They serve as the anchor point of the phenomenon. They contain evidence of previous unrecorded occupants.
Unrecorded occupants. So they existed entirely within the walls.
Right. And there's a direct quote from Thomas in the file that I think is really telling. He said, "It felt like the room had been waiting, like it knew I was coming."
Ugh, that gives me chills. I was trying to visualize how this works, and I came up with an analogy. I likened it to finding a malignant, hidden tumor within the very architecture of your own home.
Oh, that's a great way to put it.
You know, it's a space that has been silently growing and waiting right beneath your feet, or like a hidden partition on a computer hard drive. It's walled off, invisible to the main system, until it executes a malicious program.
The hidden partition is a perfect comparison. It's a localized physical space the entity uses as a bridge.
But the room isn't just a storage space for creepy items, right?
Oh,
There is a very specific focal point inside this room that sets up the final trap.
right. The rusted bike is just dressing.
Exactly. In the center of the room, Thomas finds a deck of playing cards. They're arranged mid-game, as if someone just walked away, or, well, was taken.
Taken from the table, yeah.
And right next to it, scratched into the plaster wall, are two words. Your turn.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, this is where the true horror of the 2.17 protocol is revealed. It operates on a temporal loop.
A temporal loop. Now, when I first read that, I was a little confused. Is the document suggesting like a literal time machine scenario? Are victims being physically sent back in time?
No, not a time machine in the sci-fi sense. It's a localized temporal paradox. The phrase, your turn, is entirely literal.
Okay.
This game began decades before Thomas was even born. The protocol operates by forcing each new resident to sit down and finish what the previous unrecorded victim could not.
So it traps them in this cycle.
Exactly. A cyclical event spanning generations.
And the stakes of this game, as highlighted in the grim reality of the case file summary, are just insane. The rules of the game are completely unknown.
He can't even strategize.
No. And the penalty for losing, it's entirely redacted.
Just a black bar in the text.
Yeah. We don't know what happens, but it's clearly bad. But here's the most terrifying part. The files state that no one who has entered this loop has ever reported finishing the game.
It's designed to be unwinnable. It consumes the occupant and resets the board.
Which brings us to the chilling conclusion of Files 01. The final notes state that Thomas never finished the card game.
He just became another lost occupant.
Yeah. And the transcript explicitly points out that Files 02 doesn't pick up where Files 01 ends. It begins somewhere else entirely.
New victim, new location.
But the time is always 2.17 a.m.
The loop continues.
It's just so ruthlessly efficient. Let me briefly recap this for everyone listening because the structure is so wild.
Go for it.
First, you're selected by the whisper, the floorboard creaking.
Right.
Second, your trust is broken by the emotionless double. Third, the anchor is revealed when you find the hidden room.
The forgotten space.
Yes. And finally, you are trapped by the fatal game, the temporal loop.
What really stands out to me, the major takeaway here, is how the 2.17 phenomenon subverts the ultimate safe space, the family home.
Oh, totally.
It turns domestic familiarity into this inescapable repeating mechanism. The danger is already integrated into the foundation of your reality.
Which is a terrifying thought. And for you listening, I want to leave you with one final lingering thought that really builds on this source material.
Okay.
We know the 2.17 protocol forces victims to finish a game left behind by previous unrecorded occupants. But consider the walls of your own home right now.
Think about your floor plans.
Exactly. If these forgotten spaces don't appear on any blueprints, how many paused games, unrecorded histories, and endless temporal loops are sitting silently behind the plaster of the very room you're sitting in right now, just waiting for the clock to strike 2.17?
I mean, you might not know your own home nearly as well as you think you do.
Yeah, really might not. Well, thank you for joining us on this deep dive into the Silver Basin transcripts. We wish you a very safe and very quiet night.